we begin with these crazy ideas, right? Under patriarchal rule, under men, this would never have happened, right? If you look at how men vote, they vote against this nonsense. And it's fathers who are on the front lines against it. It's women who are trying to transition the children, not men.
Far-right MAGA creep Andrew Wilson was a guest on Piers Morgan's show, Piers Morgan Uncensored. He was part of a panel that included journalist Emily Austin, writer Julie Bindel, and trans activist Stassia Underwood. And in this segment from Piers Morgan Show, they talked about one of Piers Morgan's absolute favorite obsessions, trans people in sports. So we're going to take a look at clips from this panel. I have thoughts to share on this too. Let's get into it together.
You want to paint all of these labels on you. You want to play identity politics. You want to play the victim, but you want it to be treated as if you're any superior. That's not equality. You receiving special treatment that does not make you equal but makes you superior to others is not looking to be included. It's actually making people detest your cause. It's making people think that you are a moron. And the way that you're trying to represent the trans community as a whole by just denying that there's a threat and being delusional about it is not helping the trans people. You're making people look at you from the outside and say, wow, they are out of touch with reality.
I think that the verbiage that you use in this statement is very clear on where you stand on trans issues. I'm going to go back to my original point. You guys trying to take out trans people from sports is a way to eradicate trans people from public.
But we're not.
But
we're trying to eradicate lunatics like yourself.
Stassia, nobody has said that. And this is what happens, if you don't mind me saying, what happens, the way that trans activists let themselves down, in my opinion, and you can respond to this, is that you try and shut down perfectly legitimate, in fact, urgently important debate by saying that anyone who dares to question this is transphobic and wants to get rid of trans people. I don't think anyone so far on this panel has said they want to get rid of trans people or anything like it. And yet you keep saying you people all want to get rid of trans people. Why do you believe that? Where have you got that from? You cite my interviews with some of your friends, but where have I said anything remotely that could be construed as transphobic? I don't get it.
I think the verbiage that was being used, it's very clear you guys stand on all trans issues.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
So what is the solution for the trans people that are playing sports? What's the solution for them? We're just supposed to kick them out all entirely?
Let me give you the solution. The solution's very straightforward. Almost all of them competed against biological men like themselves before, but they did it far less successfully. So you either go back, trans women athletes either compete against their biological sex, or you create an entirely new category for trans athletes. What you don't do is allow them to destroy the integrity of women's sport, which is what is happening. So it's very straightforward how you solve this. I don't want trans people to be banned from playing sport. I just want them to be banned like I did with the dopers when they were cheating in sport. I want them to be banned from utilizing an unfair advantage. It's simple as that.
Can I ask her a question? Would you think it's fair if Novak Djokovic identified as a woman and then played Serena Williams in a tennis set? Do you think that that would be fair to Serena Williams, who worked her whole life to become a star tennis player, just to get swept by Novak, who's the #1 men's tennis player? I just want to know if you think that that's fair.
Yeah, I just think that the question is ridiculous because
Why is it ridiculous?
It's not ridiculous at all.
I see how it's trying to be framed. I'm gonna keep going back to my original point. Your guys' excessive attention on wanting to remove trans people from sports and have them play in their biological sex, which makes no sense because even in John Oliver's interview,
or in their own category,
the category that would make sense, or in their own category, there's not enough of them to create a category. Like the percentile is so small.
Actually,
so
there actually are an increasingly large number of trans athletes around the world. Actually, that's not true. Andrew, you've been waiting very patiently.
Before we get into what Andrew said, Piers Morgan says there's an increasing number. Okay. In the Paris Olympics, there were 3 trans athletes. In college athletics, the president of the NCAA, the National Collegiate Athletic Association in the United States, testified before Congress and said there are 500,000 student athletes competing in colleges and universities around the United States. Less than 10 are trans.
Thank you. This seems to me, this whole debate so far highlights the way this debate has been framed now for years, which is that any attempt to question what is obviously grotesquely unfair and unequal and indeed unsafe is branded transphobic, even when there's no evidence to suggest that the people saying it are transphobic.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, basically everybody in this panel is wrong. So to start with, this person says, well, you know, the thing is you just want to erase transgender people altogether, Pierce, and then says, I wasn't saying that, Pierce. I wasn't saying that you want to erase trans people, not you specifically, when clearly that's what you were saying. At least get behind the statements that you're making. The TERF starts out by saying, well, I've been here reinforcing women's rights this entire time, right? And then the TERF says, right on top of that, well, but, you know, poker's very misogynistic. She can't wait to dunk on men. Very first thing she does is dunk on men in order to somehow elevate women, right? You're all insane. The truth is that the only reason that this happens to begin with is because women vote for it. They vote for it. They vote blue. They vote left. They vote in the same politicians who get behind all of this stuff. You're the deciding vote, right? And you have empowered women to do
Very
that
true.
as much as possible
Very
for the
true.
political process to do that. All of you are responsible for this. Every last one of you.
Really glad that you're so
Emily as
perfect.
well?
Trump.
Yeah.
Leave me out of this one. I'm good.
Well, we'll see. When
Well,
we
not
get
just what
into
Andrew kept
feminism.
saying, all of you. Do you include Emily, Andrew, or not?
Well, I just assumed it. I just assumed it. But this is the truth. The truth is, we begin with these crazy ideas, right? Under patriarchal rule, under men, this would never have happened, right? If you look at how men vote, they vote against this nonsense. And it's fathers who are on the front lines against it. It's women who are trying to transition the children, not men. Give me a case example of where male fathers are trying to transition their kids. It doesn't exist. It's a female-only phenomenon. Literally a female-only phenomenon.
That is insane.
Yeah, show me one. Show me one male father who's fighting in the courts to transition their son to a girl.
Actually,
Nowhere.
I made a
That's a reach.
podcast
I
series
see men on
about this.
TikTok that are diseased.
I interviewed quite a few fathers
ahead.
that
All
are
right, well,
pushing for this. But the point is that this is something that benefits men, and it's men that are the ones that are saying they're women. They are all of a sudden the oppressed, and feminists like me are the oppressor, and that they
voted for it.
they're too weak and pathetic to fight
You
and play
voted for
against other men. And what do?
Do you vote
They
left?
come and beat up on women.
Do you vote left, ma'am?
I don't know what vote left means.
Do you vote for the left-wing party of your
Do you
nation?
vote for Democrats?
Do you vote for what would be
I'm a
considered
British-
the Democrats of your nation?
No, I wouldn't have voted for the Democrats. I would not have voted for the disgrace of that party. And I also wouldn't have voted for Trump. But the point is,
If we look,
I
hang on,
believe
yeah,
in,
let me finish with a follow-up.
we live
Very
in a different,
very quickly.
we live in a
response.
different context
What I'm
here.
saying to you is this. It's very simple. If you look at the voting patterns of women in both the UK and the United States, they're usually the deciding vote when it comes to degeneracy. That
It's not got to
includes
do with
when
anything.
it includes on the trans issue. So here you are. It's the very thing that you push for empowerment of women that is now causing your very problem. You have to now convince women. Men are already there. Men have already said, nope, we don't
Apart
want
from
this.
the
We never
men
wanted
that
it.
are claiming
It's garbage.
to be women.
Yeah, apart from the women who are claiming to be men, which now it's almost equalized. Remember that part, right? This phenomenon, though, is categorically rejected by men and reinforced by women. And TERFs like you did everything that you could possibly do in order to push that. You did everything you could do to push that. And now you get to reap the whirlwind. So I don't care if women in their sports teams are getting their teeth kicked in. I don't care. Reap what you sow. As you sow, so shall you reap. And
You
you
seem
get
a
exactly
nice
what you
person.
deserve.
You seem like a lovely person.
I'm sorry that you have to deal with the consequences of your own actions.
What's funny to me about this whole thing is Andrew Wilson here. He has a bit of a giveaway there when he says, I don't care if women are getting their teeth kicked in. So part of his whole shtick based on what I've mainly just seen him on Piers Morgan Uncensored and a couple other clips from him. But a big part of his shtick is hating women, being a misogynist and hating women. And all of these guys, all of these right-wing guys who are suddenly so concerned about the sanctity of women's sports 5 minutes ago were making fun of women's sports and saying, you know, the WNBA, nobody watches that. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about women's sports. So they don't really care about women's sports. They just want to be against trans people. That's the whole idea. Guys like Andrew Wilson, they just want to be against trans people. And this is a problem. This is a solution to a problem that doesn't really exist. All of these right-wingers act like every high school in the country is full of trans kids trying to play sports, and it's just not the reality. They tried to pass a law, or maybe they did pass a law, banning trans kids or trans athletes in high schools in Ohio, and the law was based on one student, one child in the entire state of Ohio. So this whole thing, it's just nonsense. One other thing about Andrew Wilson, with his appearance here on Piers Morgan Uncensored, he says these nasty things. He's anti-women. He smokes. And there was a guy way back in the 80s who had a talk show called Morton Downey Jr., who did a lot of this same bit. Now, I think he used to yell and scream and stuff and smoke on TV and say outrageous things. But I think he actually was nicer than Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson doesn't really do the yelling and screaming, but he still just acts like a dick and acts like a misogynist and smokes. I think he saw clips of Morton Downey Jr. and stole his bit. If anybody is familiar with that guy, Morton Downey Jr., let me know if you think Andrew Wilson stole his act. Let me know what you think about all of this. Do you think this is a real problem? Trans people in sports is, so much time is spent on Piers Morgan's show talking about this with people like Emily Austin and Andrew Wilson and these other guests, and it's just not that big of an issue, I don't think. But the right wing is absolutely obsessed with it. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. I'm Chris on Culture, and I'll see you in the next video.